final round. Match in overtime.
Team Mara ties the game. Are you a betting man, Harry?
Do you assume I favor one side over the other? You know me better than that, Sam. Besides, I left my wallet at home.
Attackers, prepare for insertion. Team Mira to the map. Team Ash has breached the map.
Joker, now.
Roger. Let's go fishing.
Good to go, Jordan.
Copy that.
Three attackers remaining.
Callie, I need cover! We're pinned down, Callie! Get us out! Callie! What the heck is he doing?
Giving them a clear target.
Come out and play.
Only two attackers remain. Two defenders remain on the map. Team Ash wins.
Something tells me that didn't come out of the playbook.
Not in our playbook, anyway. Something tells me this fight ain't over.
To be able to react quickly, you must remove unnecessary variables from the equation. Emotion for one, as well as the fear of consequence. Good reaction time and
Instinct can't be bought. That won't stop me from trying.
I don't know how you do things in the private sector, but we do not use people as bait here.
This is a game, Princess. And I just want it for you.
Keep her back! Steady down. Back! Are you off or not? Back off! Come on, man! Back off!
Tracking target at full velocity. Predicting trajectory. Wunderbar.
Did I mention it comes wrist-mounted?
No. I don't like to use the word heal.
Tango in my sights.
Now it's time for new belt nitro signal! And he fell for it! He's looking to give coverage for his teammate, right? Can he lock it down? Yes, he can, but the swing's in. Has to find it. No time! Pun has to swing in. Geordie's pulled up. He lost the round.
Camera in position!
Get behind me!
Tango, look
die!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the extended break. We move forward into what technically is our second game for the night, but we are actually going into the third. Spud, I know it's been a hot minute since we saw game one come to a conclusion, but a heater it was, and now we go on to hopefully another one for the evening.
Yeah, for those who've missed it, and I wouldn't, it was a while ago. It was, of course, a 7-1 victory for Not Quite Sure. A really, really dominant performance from them, showing them why they are, of course, a national tier team. But that, of course, is in the past now. We head on to our next map, which will be Underground Gaming taking on Circular Spheres.
Yeah, shaping up to be another interesting one. Underground in the last season of LPL Pro, arguably being one of the underdog teams, having a really good performance, but Circular Spheres topping out in other Tier 2 leagues as of recent. This is going to be a sort of fight of the underdogs, if you will. UG have a lot to prove here.
Yeah, both teams didn't do quite so well last week. Both suffered losses. UG went 5-7. I believe it was, again, let me just double check. Yeah, Not Quite Sure as well, which we just saw. But for Circular Spheres, yeah, it was an overtime loss. And of course, we all know the story of how that went. And so both these teams now will be looking for their first win of the season. And certainly for Circular Spheres, they're looking to redeem themselves after last week.
Well, we will be able to have a little bit of an in-depth look at Underground Gaming. As I said, a team that has had relatively good performance in the last season of LPL Pro, coming into this season looking to do exactly the same. MML, Bappen, Eraser, JPK, and Xander. Slight change to the rest of the night. Xander will be playing. But other than that, everything relatively straightforward for UG. As I said, a team looking to prove their worth.
Yeah, last season, of course, they finished fourth. They did make it to playoffs and, walked away with the fourth position. So obviously this time around, they're going to be looking for a better performance. Obviously, the first step will be to make it to playoffs. And the first step to that, of course, will be taking on Circular Spheres.
Yeah, and speaking of Circular Spheres, a team that we know all too well, Spud, and a roster that has accomplished a lot together. Japer, Goofed, Physics, and Scars, as well as Sprue. Sprue and Scars, obviously sort of newer faces to Circular Spheres from what we are sort of necessarily used to, but that main opening three, Japer, Goofed, and Physics, definitely plays to be scared of.
Yeah, we did see Scars in action last week, and he certainly proved his worth. Circular Spheres, of course, despite that loss, did overall play a really, really good game. My only question, the wild card here would be Sprue. I don't believe we've seen him before, so I really look forward to seeing how he performs today.
And the head-to-head for this match brought to us by Biocode Lab. Two insane players from two insane rosters, but highlights, Scars and Bappen, two players, young gunners coming up through the ranks, you could say, both demons in the lobby, and definitely two people that I think we should be keeping our eye out for during this match. I mean, Bappen, just insane on the mechanical side of things, but Scars mirrors that as well. He has his moments. He can be very scary when given the room to move around. So, two players to watch out for tonight's game.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to see whether they get into any head-to-heads and how they'll play out in terms of those raw gunfights. But of course, it's not all just about that. We've mentioned a couple of times already, Circular Spheres packing a lot of high-level experience, and that's going to help them bring out and enable those young gunners like Scars to really perform at their best.
Well, a map would not be complete with just the rosters. We also do have the map veto for game, technically number 2 of the evening. We head to Oregon. So we haven't really had anything too interesting tonight, Spud. We've had Villa and Oregon. All we need is a cafe and we complete the three-piece, maybe a club in there to round the night out. But, I mean, were we expecting anything different? I mean, Oregon is pretty clean cut and polished for both of these two teams, so...
Yeah, I mean, if you look back at the last two maps that were remaining, it was Clubhouse versus Oregon. Both of these maps tend, very mini-game oriented, usually defender-sided. So it's interesting that it went all the way down to that those last two picks, and we do see a little more attacker-sided Bank notably taken off the board right from the get-go, and I believe that is where Underground Gaming suffered their first loss last week. So no surprises there that they've chosen to ban that.
Yeah, I mean, even last week, Circular Spheres, unfortunately walking away with a loss after a grueling 7-7. Couldn't lock it out in the last round all the way to 15. And I mean, that's got to hurt. They did let Villa go pretty far through the veto. It was almost where we ended back to tonight for a back-to-back Villa match, but it was banned out, second to last. Clubhouse, the final decider, and Oregon ultimately where we end up. I mean, it does open the door for teams like UG. I mean, we've seen them play on this map before. They've been very, very efficient, I guess is the word that we can use against teams of that sort of high-level experience like Circular Spheres, but at the same time in other leagues we've seen Circular Spheres play this exact map, and every time that we've watched them play it, it has been a stomp. Hopefully for UG that isn't the case tonight. Hopefully we get a little bit more, bark for the bite, I guess we can say, compared to our first game, but I imagine that UG will be able to bring that to the table. They're a very confident team. So fingers crossed. But I mean, Spud, are you expecting anything different, or Circular Spheres comfortable for this?
I think after last week, Circular Spheres definitely will have gone home and done some homework, at least wash off that complacency and really look to take the coming games. So I definitely think they are the favourites here, and I think they will win. But I'm not quite sure of the score. Of course, last time I made a prediction, it went horribly wrong. But I don't think Underground Gaming will win this. Having said that, though, I do think they will be able to put up a significant fight. I think it will be better than the performance F2 put up in our previous match. And I certainly think Underground Gaming, given their performance against Not Quite Sure, a 5-7 loss, that's not actually that bad. So I really could see Underground Gaming getting up on those rounds.
I mean, we do have to keep in mind as well that both teams are playing with slightly different iterations of their rosters. I mean, Circular Spheres are not the original 5 spheres that we saw coming to the conclusion at the end of sort of the last part of the Rainbow Six OC season. And as well, UG are playing with some different alterations as well. Obviously, Xander in tonight as a sub. Bappen makes his way onto the roster. I believe his first play day with the team for LPL Pro. He didn't play last week. So coming into tonight, we do have some changes that will possibly make for some interesting siege between these two teams. But with players like Japper and Goofed, even Physics on Circular Spheres, it's going to be difficult for them. It is basically just two teams of very gifted, mechanically minded players, and this is going to come down to a lot of mechanics checking, but also how they can work the strategy in, which Circular Spheres, I would say, do have more experience in that era. So hopefully UG can play to that. We'd imagine they've been doing their homework in the off-season. It has been a while since they last technically played, but in saying that, at the same time, both teams could walk away with something tonight.
Yeah, granted, UG are the ones starting out on the defense, which is, as we've mentioned, usually the favored side. And both these teams did a lot better on defense last week than on the offense. Of course, the Circular Spheres, they went 5-1 on their defense. And for UG, although it was a loss, they did notably take the first defending rounds against Not Quite Sure. And that was off the back of some really strong plays from Logic, who unfortunately won't be here tonight. So I wonder whether they'll be able to repeat that same performance, or if the defense just won't quite be the same as it was on Bank now that they're missing that key player, and whether Circular Spheres will really take that away.
And unfortunately, our unlucky streak continues. The players are not quite ready for this matchup, so we are going to go to a hopefully shorter break, and we'll be back momentarily with game number 2.
Whoa, Neo, you're not playing like a noob anymore. How is that possible? You gotta be using hacks, dude.
Nah, dude. I got the Odyssey Neo G9.
Sweet, bro, you can finally start leveling up. Let's keep it going, man.
This is gonna kill me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the short break. The game will make its way onto your screens momentarily, but just before we do, Spud, we head to Oregon in a moment's notice. What are you expecting from the bans? I mean, we spoke a lot about new operators. We spoke a lot about the new utility, LMG metas in the bin. I mean, what are we expecting from Oregon? I will cut you off just before we're going to head into Oregon. We're here. We are starting things off finally, Spud, and I'm very excited for Oregon.
Look, last time Underground Gaming went into bank, they banned Hibana and Mira, and honestly, those are two bans which could actually work very well here on Oregon as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they stuck with that choice. On the side of Circular Spheres, last time was an Osa and an Azami ban, and Azami, we've seen a lot of those bans coming through. And I definitely could see them removing it from Oregon. We have seen it being used, especially on that second floor site, to cut off some of those lines of sight from the windows. It is very, very powerful, just all around anywhere. So Circular Spheres, I definitely think that would have been a choice.
And before this gets underway, once more, we would like to thank Roccat. The Roccat Burst Pro Air, a lightweight optical wireless RGB gaming mouse, is available now. Make sure you check it out. But checking out these bands, starting things off, Knock seems to be something that a lot of teams are wanting to get rid of now after this patch, which is interesting to me, being as she didn't see too much bans before, but now she's pretty much gone all the time, and Jackal as well. What are we thinking on the defense, bud?
Yeah, like she was gone 3 out of 4 games last week. She was gone last game as well, and that makes it, well, 2 out of 2 now. Jackal, again, standard ban. I certainly expect the Mira to go as well. Yeah, like that. So, you know, they're playing in the lines of F2, which isn't necessarily a good thing to do. I do think they can put up a little bit more of a fight, but, you know, hopefully they have something else up their sleeves. I believe you may have muted yourself again.
No, I was just waiting for something, waiting for the game to get going, Spud. The bands to finish. I mean, Mira and Valk to go. These
are exactly the same bands as last game.
Exactly the same. So nothing really too interesting on that front. But UG lock in. So do Circular Spheres. Laundry and Supply to start things off. I mean, downstairs, more of a bunker side sort of chat. We've got Circular Spheres continuing the shenanigans, pre-game rituals, I guess we could call it. But look. The banter is here. It's great. We're loving it. And this is, I think this is shaping up to probably be a very interesting match.
Yeah, I do see switch over from the Maverick to the Thatcher. Usually you don't get to see Thatcher being played much because it's usually banned so much, but now with the new changes coming through, we do see that availability, and interesting that they've gone rid of Maverick for now a Lion, and we have seen Lion's pick rate actually increase because now, as we mentioned, with the EMP impact grenades, he can take over that role of Maverick and Lion, and there we, and Thatcher, and there we have it. It's EMP grenades in play.
Indeed, and as everyone makes their way into small tower, it is going to be Physics there who is waiting to greet them. He finds one. He's now caught on drone. Has to try and get away with his life. He's going to take a second. JPK goes down. They're just feeding bodies towards him. The pre-fire almost good for another, but a Razor ends the onslaught. And just like that, Circular Spheres find 2 huge kills. Sledge and Lion off the board. And now everyone from CS is rotating around to see if they can get any more.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a misplay there from Underground. I believe the drone work was just a little too slow, and they got a little too hasty. They didn't expect that aggression from Physics being right in their face. Certainly, it's going to be a lesson for next round, but they're going to have to worry about this round first. They need to salvage this round. It is a 3v4, so it's not entirely undoable, but as we mentioned, they've lost the impact EMP, so it's going to make opening those hatches a lot harder, especially as well. No more vertical play from the Sledge.
Goofed, primed and ready here, shotgun in hand. He's going to collect the first Bappin to fall. Unfortunately, you're not going to win that fight. The M590 superior in that instance. Now all up to Xander and Eraser in a 2 versus 4. They found one, but this is going to be a tall ask. I mean, 4 kills against tier 2 champions. They're looking for another, but Goofed is going to collect one more, make it 3 with the shotgun. Circular Spheres start that match off with an absolute heater of a round, but aggression is the name of the game when you watch CS play. I mean, they've done it for so long. Why UG weren't expecting that and were not a little bit more cautious with the drone work and maybe a little bit more hesitant on the entry, I don't know, but hopefully lessons learned as they move into the second.
Yeah, I mean, props to them for the confidence, I suppose, to walk in and take those gunfights, but confidence when misplaced isn't actually helpful, and I think that might be a little bit going on here. They expected to be able to take those fights, and it just did not work out. And especially those last 2 players pushing down the freezer stairs, knowing Goof is hanging out there with the shotgun, a little bit questionable. Granted, first round, hey, maybe still working things out. Certainly expect them to get into the pace of things and maybe slow things down a little bit in the upcoming rounds.
Indeed, but I mean, even then, UG just so quick off the mark. They assume it's good, or at least they have been placed home for but obviously Physics just found a bit of a loophole and got in and, well, you saw the damage that was dealt. So we'll see if they change up the replay spots here for a little bit more information as well.
Hopefully they don't get caught out once again, as Jappa is looking to do once more. He's chilling out in the small tower, he's looking for those small peaks, but isn't quite able to find any. Let's just hope he manages to get away alive, because last time they did have some plays to cut him off. Are you kidding? He just walks away. Oh my goodness.
Did the exact same thing and found another kill. It was Twitch this time, so it's probably squared and it's not. Okay. UG. They've resorted to shooting each other. I'm not too sure if that's... I don't know how that even happened, but MML unfortunately catching his teammate's face out there. Chapper does get traded out. Oh, Bapu! Oh, Physics! The one hanging through the wall. Oh my god, UG. That, oh, Physics, keep going. There's one more. He's on the hunt. At this point, it's GG go next round, unless they keep jumping out. He didn't even get that one. Scar's there. MML goes down, and UG. Yeah.
Look, I don't want to call it quite just yet. I don't want to give them the curse, but something seems a bit familiar, right? we've seen this before. Granted, not quite spectacular fashion. It's not 2 flawless rounds in a row. So, you know, we're still okay. We're still okay. UG might still have a chance. And they are getting those trades off some, you know, careless plays from Circular Spheres. Once Circular Spheres tightens that all up, once they get the picks and fall back without risking their lives again, that's when I'd really get worried for UG. But so far, Circular Spheres, on the other hand, not worried at all.
Yeah, look. Circular Spheres, they're just doing exactly what they've done. Pretty much since the inception of their team, it is hyper-aggression. And all they do is peak, but on top of that, they win their fight. And we're seeing them continue that trend.
10 seconds left.
And do exactly that. So UG, you're going to have to switch up the playstyle and brought the Oceania for a little bit more passiveness, but again, it is meeting, it is kitchen. Osa pretty much a given on this fight, so we'll see if UG can implement it correctly and do some damage.
Yeah, so far, though, the other thing that has been hampering UG is the fact that they always lose important picks early on. First round, it was aligned with the Impact EMP. Second round, it was an unfortunate TK onto the Ace, and that, of course, limited their options. They couldn't open a single wall after that, and, you know, that's very dangerous.
Okay.
Also, when things like that happen, you know, it's not good.
Oh no! Huh? No! I'm like, there's no... Oh, this is so good for Goofed as well. Look at this shield. JPK's right there. There's a player off towards Garrett's side, but with this shield being up, unless they dedicate some utility to it, which they don't actually have explosive utility, so they can't clear it out. Who's going to be able to run out and peek through the shield to find one? Xander will trade from the back stairs, but at this point the damage is already dealt once more. Physics spots the head of Xander, he takes it off, and once more it's JPK on his lonesome. Physics threads the needle on the other Scorpion, and Circular Spheres find another. UG in shambles right now. Lost for words.
Yeah, I think it's going to be another match where I don't need to write too many notes, because all you need to know is that Circular Spheres are just running around so aggressive, but the fact is they're hitting all their shots. UG, on the other hand, I feel like it's a lack of information. We've seen it multiple times. First round, they just walked in expecting nothing, and they just got hit straight in the face. And now, even with an Osa, we walked right into Goof with the shotgun. The information is not there, and Circular Spheres are capitalizing on it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a little bit weird. I don't know if the downtime for UG has hurt them, or if the dynamic is off slightly. I mean, this doesn't feel like the UG we saw in the last implementation of LPL Pro. I'm not sure. As I said, maybe it's downtime, maybe something else is happening that we're not, you know, put in on behind the scenes, maybe they haven't been streaming as much.
5 seconds
But
left.
even still, Circular Spheres are playing an insane game right now, and it's just hyper-aggression. So, as I said in the last round, hopefully UG changed their playstyle to counteract that.
Yeah, I did like the line in the very first round. It was just unfortunate that he got picked up early, but I think it is perhaps a potential counter to this really roam-heavy, dynamic style that Circular Spheres are playing. By locking them down, getting yourself a bit more information, you do open up opportunities for yourself to take those gunfights when you want to, as opposed to when Circular Spheres dictate. And so far, that is exactly what Circular Spheres have been able to do. They always initiate and they always win.
Well, there you go. They're not initiating this round, apparently. JPK drives back on his own, takes down Stars. So, I guess there's that. He finds a second. Jaffa goes down as well. So, UG putting the burners on a little bit themselves here in this round. It's now up to the remaining 3 players from Circular Spheres, as Goof looks to attempt to equalise the scorecard here, but with Physics still alive as well. I mean, some big fragging potential on the board for UG, but Appen removes Goof, so that is huge.
Yeah, finally we see the player count firmly in favor of UG, and this really opens up opportunities because now they don't have to worry so much about the flanks. They know those last two players are going to be chilling on site, and it enables them to play their game on their terms. They can start opening up those hatches, they can start playing the vertical. They just need to make sure not to rush, and certainly this round could go in their favor. Could.
I mean, if Physics can find some more kills, sure. But low HP, he's already found 2. He's looking for more. Will he spot the head of another? Unfortunately not, as he does go down. Physics gets aggressive. He spots 1 inside a split, swings on around, doesn't connect. Unfortunately, as the player runs towards the hatch, he doesn't necessarily know where Vappen's at either. Vappen will take that kill. UG will find around and fire back with a little bit more spring in their step.
Yeah, getting that hyper aggression on show. Even in a 1v4, he decided to go for that roam. And I suppose at that point in time, you need to make a bold play. And it almost paid off. He could have gotten those 2 kills, just unfortunately missed a little bit. And it will be the first round to UG, a sorely needed round, I might add.
Yeah, that round, just putting them back.
Being defused by attackers.
In the contention for things, I mean, being down 3-0 is difficult, but we said at the start, Spud, that Oregon is largely defender-sided, but thankfully UG were able to break that cycle a little bit. I am still expecting it to be sort of that 4-2, 5-1 half here for the Spears. Again, just because the experience comes into it a little bit more when we do look at it in that way, and Circular Spears do hold that advantage at the end of the day. So
5 seconds to go.
unless UG have done very specific homework, I still think Circular Spears will play with this. But in saying that, that was a very good round from UG. Hopefully they can keep that momentum up.
No time to waste.
They did manage to punish some of the aggression coming out from Circular Spears. Of course, it was JPK with that entry. 0-2 opening picks, which are really crucial because I don't believe they've had an opening pick for all the previous rounds. So being able to start that off and then add 1 more to the tally meant that even with the trade, UG could remain firmly with the upper hand.
Goof just really wanted to get aggressive here, but I mean, that is just a very stark highlight on Circular Spears' playstyle. They do exactly that so often. And UG definitely have tried to slow the game down. They're trying to dictate the pace for themselves. They're playing for these drones. The Razor's making his way in now to Small Tower, but this is exactly what they need to be doing. Tone it back, play for the information, then play for the control. And they're doing exactly that. No kills just yet, and Circular Spears are being forced to retreat.
The Gunner drone has fed information now, waiting on the ping for the grenade, and this is really good. He's not risking himself in that head-to-head gunfight just yet. He's waiting for the information to come in, and Goof might actually get caught out here.
We'll be able to clear the drone. Physics opens it up with 1 on the Bappen, but I don't think Goof knows necessarily that MML is inside of security. He does have support from the dining side. Goof now forced back towards the freezer, but from the hatch above, sorry. The Razor is going to be locked out, and Goof opens it up with 1 on the ML. Physics spotted out. Can he hit the shot? No, so close. But goes down, and confirmation there for UG, but still, Circular Spears come out on top with a man advantage, and the Yana and the Thinker being gone. 2 big entry players to find.
I think Goof managed to get away with his life there, thanks to some really good support from the hatch we see right there. And those crossfires are making a key difference. It means that they cannot force out Goof unless it's on his terms, which is when he's decided to fall back. Having said that though, JPK will at least even out the player count and make things 3-3 for the last 45 seconds.
Goof still stands. And with the wall opened up now, UG do have somewhat of a direct avenue into the side. I mean, got the main wall open. They know that Goof is still downstairs. The question is, do they have him on drone? Seems like Eraser is waiting for him to come down, but caught with the skeleton key looking at the roof. He's taken out. Goof finds that kill, but unfortunately it's traded by Xander. Jack will take Xander out in the process though, so 1-for-1. JPK now the last alive. Did some good work in the last round, but with no utility left to work with. Has to play for these gunfights. Jappa chooses to drop away. The bomb is down. Hugh needs to get out and aggressive if he wants the kill for himself, which he does. And he's going to find it. JPK falls. Circular Spheres locked in another round for themselves.
That was much closer, I think, for the part of Underground Gaming. As we mentioned, they changed up the play style. They changed it to be slower, more info-based. They figured out what parts of the map they wanted to take, and they approached it very, very methodically. And I really, really like that adaptation from UG, even if it didn't work out for them. On Circular Sphere's part, though, really, really great support for each other. They've made sure that no one's left alone. Gooft has support from the hatch above him. Means he can hold on to that position for much longer. And as we saw, he eventually was rewarded for it. And UG just were never quite able to find an answer for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the fact that UG have been switching up the playstyle between these rounds has been a very good spectacle to obviously watch, because they have played, 3 very different rounds of Siege so far in this matchup. But in terms of that as well, we have seen Circular Spheres also do the same thing. Hyper aggressive in the first couple of rounds, but then you come into that one, they were a lot more reserved on that run. Initial spawn peaks and sort of endeavors into the outer world obviously were there, Goofed, making those types of advancements, but other than that, we saw Circular Spheres play a lot more reserved Siege, but that counteracted UB perfectly. And again, it just speaks to that experience in them.
Yeah, certainly though, UG have been adapting and they've been putting in good work. It just remains to be seen whether they can catch up to Circular Spheres. As we mentioned, Circular Spheres have that experience advantage, and UG are the underdogs here playing catch up. And catching up on the scoreline as well, they're 1-4 down, and with Jappa a run out like that, they've got the player count to catch up on as well.
Yeah, indeed they do. That's a big kill to find. Bappin, not too happy about the outcome. Jack letting him know how it happened. But as rookie mistakes, my, the banter is impeccable right now between these two teams. Circular Spheres, they're going to read the play. They know that there are players making their way up towards the top of Armory, and Physics will fall back to his secondary position as the rest of UG now begin to sort of make their way onto that top floor and look for the opening. But it's Physics who finds it, almost gets traded from White. He's looking for that second kill. Can he find it? No, but he still has his life to play with, and the support from his team is there. Razor does find the trade, but he's the last alive in a 1 versus 4 as Gooft and Jappa find another for themselves. His position now largely known as well, and I don't imagine he's very long for this round.
Yeah, even if he gets that player on the blue, there's still so much to contend with. He's made his way onto site, but the fuser is out of his control. There's so many angles he needs to check. At this point, it's just slowing down the round, maybe hoping for a pick, maybe some time to talk with his team, but Goof will have almost none of it. He does get that shotgun headshot. 3v1.
He's making it happen. He finds another. Scars goes down. Not too sure why he looked away there, but he did. The diffuser still down at the top of main, and Eraser looking to claim it back. 50 seconds to make the dream work happen. He's got the skeleton key as well, but rightfully so, the Circular Spheres, or what's left of them, have retreated downstairs to the bomb site. Scars are visibly upset. I think that was maybe why he turned away, shot him a few times, thought he was dead type thing, but the other mind giving his position away. Ooh, Razor, he could be on for the 1v4. He takes down Hugh. Jappa spotted him out. The damage has been dealt, but it's not enough to find the kill. Even more so, he makes it through into the back of the site. 1 HP. Dapper also 1 HP and a drink. The skeleton key equipped, the bomb going down. He has to get aggressive. Jappa's going to let it happen. The bomb will be stuck here by Eraser. The 1v4. A huge prospect. He's going to win it. It's an ace. Sorry. To lock it out for UG, and Circular Spheres, what a throw! And Bappin as well!
Alright, yeah, that's a fair play. That
had to happen.
Oh. Wow, I was going to count Yuji out there. I thought, okay, 1v4, he's not even on site.
Surely
but
not.
With a minute to work with, right? He made everything happen. He took those 1v1s, and Circular Sphere seemed more than content to give them away. I think they started catching up when it was 2-2, 2-1. They realized, okay, maybe we shouldn't be throwing this. They did fall back to site, but unfortunately, Raisin's just too sharp with those kills, and that play at the end, beautiful.
Yeah. That is a rare Circular Spheres fumble moment. And, well, second ace of the evening. The Razor setting the bar here for the rest of UG relatively early into that matchup. They do secure the 4-2 half, so not completely out of the question now as they move into the attacking side. Circular Spheres now obviously changing over from the defense. But UG in good sort of situation as they head over into round 7.
As you mentioned, as you exactly predicted, it is 4-2. Could have been a 5-1, but unfortunately, Circular Spheres. I don't know if you'd call it a throw, but certainly it was really, really well
Something went wrong.
Underground Gaming. Well, they do at least now go on a half switch, so reset the mental, reset everything. UG now have the stronger side to work with. They've got 2 rounds to catch up. Circular Spheres now want to make sure they don't repeat the same mistakes.
Indeed, indeed. Circular Spheres definitely tightening down the run of show. The drones are there. So much information. Obviously, JPK now spotted out. They will either look to contest or lie, but it's Japper. What a headshot on the JPK. He goes down at the top of Freeze when Circular Spheres open the door for themselves.
Good time as well. 1 minute taken to clear out those top 2 floors. And now with that additional freezer control loss, now they have the player advantage and this avenue into sight. Of course, now they've also got the hatches to work with. They can choose how they want to approach this and really start putting the pressure onto UG.
The Thatcher EMP coming out here to pull the hatch inside of the meeting. Scars open that one up, and Circular Spheres 4 bodies over towards the main lobby side as they begin now to set up for their execute. They have the advantage in terms of the player count, but they still need to get a bit of control. I mean, main is still a point of contention for them. Opening up meeting has been achieved, but with not too much time left, Freezer now becomes the focus, and they need to start picking up the pace a little bit here, Spud.
Bill coming out from Gooft here really sets things apart now. It's going to be very, very difficult for UG to fight back against that, especially. 5v3, man.
Goof goes huge, with Japper finding another on the back, and it's all up to a Razor. He found an ace in the last round, but he's not going to get one here. A flawless round from Circular Spheres, and Spud, they find themselves 1 round away from match point. And again, this is shaping up to be the beginning of what could be a quick game.
Yeah, I really like the way Circular Spheres played that. We've seen their hyper-aggressive style, but we also saw a really, really methodical strategy there as well. They did the full roam play. They started from the top, worked their way down. It wasn't rushed. It was aggressive, but it wasn't rushed. They had the drones feeding information, and then they picked the fight when they wanted to on their terms. And it always worked out in their favor. It was a flawless round. They never lost a gunfight. They had all the options in the world, and UG couldn't find the foot.
Yeah, UG just, I mean, they had great positions. They had a lot of sort of infrastructure set up for them coming towards the end of that round. We saw the utility for the denial start to come out. We saw a lot of the setup really benefiting them there in that attempt to execute. But unfortunately, with Goof finding those 2 kills from main, it really did just open the door a little bit too much for Circular Spheres, and they were able to pry their way into the site. So hopefully UG learn from that round and change things up very slightly. Don't walk into where Goofed is, and we could be on for an extension of our playtime.
Both Physics and Goof 10 and 4 right now. They've got, well, one of them has the same amount as Spoon, Scars, and Jeffer combined. So really, really well played. They're certainly leading the charge as well. entering now here, looking for that first fight and clearing the room.
We do have one inside a small that has been spotted here, so dependent on information, MML may not be very long for this world, but it is, no, sorry, I lie. He's actually the one that finds the opening kill. Physics has made his way into dorms rather deep, knows there's a player on white, wants to get aggressive, but doesn't quite know how to tackle it now that his teammate has unfortunately been removed. MNL will be able to spot the player in Z as well, but at this point, Circular Spheres just need to consolidate the loss and look to get a trade back somewhere.
Really like the crosses that are being held here. They're certainly holding up Circular Spheres and really making them fight for that territory. They know they have to clear them lest they be stabbed in the back later. And that's burning up time, which is one of the most crucial things here. Even with that pick, you've still got more time to waste. And that is a really, really good roam from UG.
I mean, they didn't even know that the player was in security. JPK finds another. He takes down Goop at Physics. What a shot! The 180 onto MML. I mean, he's done it twice in this game. The player in security, they're going to go for the trade. The pistol swap from Physics for some reason allows JPK to find a third. It's now all up to Scars and UG. Looking like they're going to chalk up a third here unless Scars can do what Eraser did and make the impossible possible. He's got 4 to find and a minute to do it. Spud, I don't like his chances at all.
There you have it. Eraser will be the one to finish off that round, and 5-3. A really, really good performance from Underground here. Like, despite some of the opening rounds, which very much felt firmly in control of Circular Spheres, they certainly picked things up. They've adapted. And yeah, dare I say, starting to read Circular Spheres a little bit as well. They played perfectly into that roam clear, knowing how much time is going to be spent dedicated to that. They got the pick and then fell back to that secondary position where ultimately it was where Circular Spheres would fall because they just could not get rid of JPK.
I mean, there was no information at all on JPK there. There was no drone, or at least we didn't see it. There wasn't really anything relayed at all for Circular Spheres. We saw, I believe it was Goofed, sort of peek towards the top of Freezer without even checking security. And he just was standing there, ready to collect. Finds Thatcher and Ash as well, and, well, we know how it panned out from there. So, unfortunately, for Circular Spheres fans everywhere, that means that UG will find a round. But in saying that, we are on for what could fold out to be an absolutely amazing game, Spud, provided that UG can keep that level of play up.
You can stop worrying about grenades now.
Yeah, certainly consistency is a huge issue here. Circular Spheres playing at those high tiers, they're going to be used to that. UG, though, being the relatively inexperienced compared to Circular Spheres, they're going to need more time just to build up that experience that, being used to in this state, if you will. So Circular Spheres definitely wouldn't count them out yet, whereas for UG, it's a matter of keeping that mental, making sure they don't get too far ahead of themselves before it's really, truly over.
And know that the shield's inside of Attic as well, with an interesting Nitro lined up here from MML from downstairs. Now, whether or not that's just a Nitro for the main lobby or if it's a Nitro for the bottom of Master, not too sure, but either way, he's giving it up at the moment. Looks to possibly go for one now. It doesn't connect, unfortunately, as the player wasn't deep enough. But still, information relayed. He will be caught on the main stairs. Can he find one? No. A lot of damage taken, but his presence now known, opts to run away.
The east stairs, armory stairs given up. Hey, that's a significant amount of time burned. 1 minute 20 for one pick. You do lose alibi, but the damage has already been done, right? It's the time and the, you've already got the utility out. So pretty good, I think, from UG.
Yeah, they've done well at the moment to hold off Circular Spheres for as long as they have. It's cost them one player and the health equivalent to another, plus a little bit more, but I mean, they do still have some denial to work with. A Nitro in the hands of Xander. Smoke as well with some Toxic Babes in hand. Scars does a lot of damage there, but JPK does go down to Japer. They do find that opening kill. Scars walks into the site. Japper finds another. He's going insane off screen right now. One player back by Bunks, but Japper's good for 3. Can he find a 4th from the main window? No, it's Goof to lock it down. A flawless from Circular Spheres. Another one for them in this matchup. And That is match point locked in here, Spud. We could be 1 round away from another quick match.
Yeah, the smoke was really what was holding Circular Spheres back from entering into sight. We saw one canister go out, deny the breach, and if he had managed to stay alive for a little bit longer, could have changed things a little bit. At least stall out Circular Spheres, force them to take more rushed gunfights, and allow MML time to rotate back to support. Unfortunately, with the loss of that smoke, Circular Spheres were able just to flood onto site, and Jaffa, of course, cleaned up afterwards. Circular Spheres now 6-3 match point.
And in typical Circular Spheres fashion, I mean, you'd hope that they close it out here, but we saw it last week, Spud. I'm not going to say exactly what happened, but we know what happened. Without necessarily mentioning it. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to jinx it. That's why I'm not mentioning it. I'm just saying, we know what happened. We saw it happen. And we don't want it to happen again. For the sake of Circular Spheres mental, we don't want it to happen again. But in saying that,
like MML to get a second kill.
Exactly. But in saying that, it could happen.
Yeah, UG so far have been playing really well. Despite the scoreline, I think they've done well in the face of Circular Spheres and the caliber of play that they're bringing. So, no, give or take a little bit more time for UG to keep developing. I certainly think they can be in contention for those top spots. They certainly have what it takes, even if it's just not right now.
That is a cheeky run out there from MML. Unfortunately, not fruitful. Bappin in a similar position here as he looks to go for the run out. The door comes down, he's outside, but no, too high, and Goofed is ready and waiting. Arms wide open to collect that frag. Bappin goes down. Unfortunately, not the greatest debut for him here. He is playing in the laundry, though. Might explain why he's been put through the spin cycle, but very similarly, MML gets taken down. MML takes down Goof with the Nitro. So they do trade one back and forth, with the Razor finding another the shotgun in hand. He's looking for more inside of the master bedroom. Will he be greeted with them? Unfortunately not.
Attackers have recovered their well, this is a bit of missing information from both teams here. They've missed critical picks due to the lack of information. Having said that, Eraser will be finally taken down, and physics though, MML now actually on a heater. Took some time, but he's here. 1v2.
He's found a few good kills and make it another 3 for him in the round. He finishes off what's left of Circular Spheres, and UG hold on for a moment longer. Send us into another round here. That was, well, glad he said it. But no, jokes aside, UG, when they get started, it takes them a little while to get into the swing of things. But when they do get into the swing of it, they are a force to be reckoned with. We've started seeing it in a few of the rounds here. Hopefully they can continue to overtime. I mean, they've got 2 rounds, and that is a pretty easy feat to achieve on Oregon, especially with downstairs being one of the sites you have available to you. So if Circular Spheres are not careful, we could be looking at another get a grip situation here, Spud, just on a different map.
Yeah, I certainly think that Underground Gaming have really, really good fundamentals. The way they're playing is fundamentally very sound. It's just that sometimes gunfights happen to be in favor of Circular Spheres, but when they happen to be looking the wrong way and UG get the spring on them, certainly they can win. And we've seen that numerous times here, and Circular Spheres need to be aware of that. They can't rest too much on their laurels, despite the 2 flawless rounds here. Right? There's still only 2 rounds separating them from UG, and that's not a lot.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Especially when they had more of a dominant lead. I mean, that we could be done here, Spud, had that 4v1 not happened. But in saying that, it's a clip. Something for the timeline. I'm sure Razor was very happy with himself after that, but regardless of, information is being relayed. MML is taken down by Jaber, who had an insane start to the last round. Unfortunately, couldn't make it happen in the end. But still, the opening kill once more goes in favor of Circular Spheres, as they are just playing that hyper-aggressive entry.
Drone work is well coming in. This time they are going to check security. They are going to check top line, which is where, of course, those players were last time. And with MML already off the board, the player count, and now Alibi's position given away.
Oh, Physics. Oh, Physics. He's not going to get that kill. Eraser's so low, but the trade not quite there. He will go down. And Japper is in a position where he can be returned back to the fray, provided someone can get the res off. Indeed, they will. They don't necessarily know that that player is down, but there's the confirmation from Physics. A 5 versus 3 now for Circular Spheres as we head into the last minute and 30 seconds. Jake PK poised and ready, but Goofed also in a similar position. Spots the head, but doesn't connect. UG fire back with a kill of their own, but as the players begin to fall in on his position, he's going to be forced into the waiting hands of Hugh, and he goes down. A 4 versus 2 now for UG.
Really good flank push there, just making sure even if JPK gets away with the kill, he won't get away with his life. Firmly maintaining that player advantage, which is going to make all the difference here as you come out down into this really utility-heavy bunker area. You need those extra players to push past the fact that, you know, UG will have really, really good positioning here.
Ooh, that is good timing there for Bappin. Finds the head of Scars, swings on round, and is rewarded for his troubles as the main hatch is now opened up. The smoke to come out from Xander. It goes deep. Unfortunately not connecting. As we come into the last 45 seconds. One towards Freezer. Japer making his own way down. No one there to greet him. The smoke really the only thing stopping Circular Spheres from pushing into the site right now. But UG too strong. I mean, with this utility up, Xander holds a very big advantage. As long as he can keep them at bay with these toxic canisters. Japper's crept all the way up to the freezer door. He swings out. Bappin's there, but he doesn't know. Japper's behind him. He finds the kill. It's all up to Xander. A 1 versus 3. He spots one, but from the rotate, Hughes there. And Circular Spheres close it out. 7-3. And unfortunately for UG, that is the end of their run on Oregon.
Yeah, really well played there by UG. Even in the dying seconds of that round, they continue to fight, and of course, they managed to bring it back to a 3v2. With smoke utility, it certainly was very, very doable. Just unfortunate that Bappin caught on that rotate, trying to look for that pick into laundry, and then, of course, once he was down, it's 1v3, there's not much you can do about it.
Yeah, unfortunately not a lot that you can really do at the end of the day in a situation like that. But a 7-4 is definitely a respectable outcome, especially against a team like Circular Spheres. I mean, UG showed us that when they do get into the swing of things, they can deal big damage. I mean, even just single-handedly from players like Eraser, like MML during that matchup, they did have their moments. I think the thing that we would like to see going forward from UG is just going to be that little bit more consistency, because they could quite easily sort of take the fight to teams like Circular Spheres. They showed us in 4 of those rounds, so I don't think that this was really telling of the full story that could have unfolded, Spot.
Yeah, definitely as well. Last week is 5-7, against Not Quite Sure. Again, Not Quite Sure had top tier talent, and they've been able to put up a really good fight against them. So once they start working on that consistency, as you mentioned, once they can perform at that high level every single time, then I'm sure they're going to be playing at a high level. And these high level teams like Kraken, like Circular Spheres, really need to be watching their back.
I mean, we turn our heads back to about halfway through the year where we had Tier 2 competitions going on. UG missed out in the qualifiers by 1 game, which was quite a shame. I mean, had they had that experience, this game could have been completely different. I mean, CS topping that same league. We had, you know, these teams going on in other leagues elsewhere as well. But then during the off-season, haven't seen too much from both sides. And I mean, in saying that, we've seen roster changes as well for both sides. Circular Spheres arguably looking as good as before, maybe just that little bit more on par with how they were playing before the break. But I mean, UG, they've had some decent changes as well, but it is sort of those original players keeping up that momentum. I mean, Eraser, MML, JPK, we saw all of them in Season 1, and they are just keeping the momentum going for Season 2. But as I said, if they can bring that sort of momentum that they find 4 rounds in at the start of the game, they are going to be a very dangerous team going forward through the rest of the play days in the normal season. But we do have our interview ready to go from this matchup. Spew coming in. Welcome. First of all, congratulations is in order. A very good game from you guys. Welcome to the booth.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, pretty good game today.
Well, straight into it. Obviously, Oregon going forward. We saw Villa go quite a way through the veto. Oregon ended up where we went to. Were you expecting to maybe try Villa again? Is that why it wasn't banned out as early as we maybe would have expected after last week?
To be honest, didn't really matter what map we played. We just wanted to play like any of the normal ones: Villa, Oregon, Club, Border.
This Oregon wasn't on that list. Was this part of the plan, or Oregon? I assume you guys were quite prepared for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we kind of just play it like ranked. We don't practice at all. It's just easy for us, to be honest.
And in terms of the roster, we've noticed a couple of changes made. How is that affecting the playstyle? You guys look better than ever, but on your end of it, obviously, how are you feeling about Circular Spheres as a whole at the moment?
Yeah, well, I mean, better than ever, really. We're doing great at the moment, just taking every game as it goes, winning every game. Last week was a bit of a throw, but, that was just on us trolling. The guys last week, they were playing trolled it a bit. This week was super easy, though. Happy to take out the win.
Well, you've done amazing. Congratulations. It's time to go and have a celebration elsewhere. Circular Spheres, an absolutely insane performance from them at Playday number 2. But above our screens, we do have the one match that we were excited to see remaining for us to go into momentarily. Spud Kraken versus Get a Grip LFO. Not just yet, but soon, when we come back, we will see those two teams duke it out for the last game of the night. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly.
playing like a noob anymore. How is that possible? You gotta be using hacks, dude.
Nah, dude. I got the Odyssey Neo G9.
Sweet, bro, you can finally start leveling up. Let's keep it going, man.
This is gonna kill me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the break. We're here after the conclusion of probably, well, the longest match of the night. And a heater at that. Oregon against UG and CS was definitely a pleasant surprise. But Spud, we cast our eyes to the final game of tonight. One that we spoke about at the beginning of the evening as our highlight pick for the night. Kraken versus Get a Grip LFO. I mean, these two teams speak for themselves in name alone.
Yeah, both these teams have had really, really good seasons in other leagues, but they haven't actually had a chance to play against each other in quite a long time. And we're just talking about this in the break. The last time they played each other would have been at the end of March this year, so quite a number of months ago, where it was a 7-2 victory to Kraken. So I do want to see how this all plays out tonight.
Well, Kraken, a Nationals level team coming into this matchup, have had some changes as of recent. We see Chef Jeff coming into the roster, well, as opposed to Phoenix, who has been with Kraken as of recent. But for this matchup, that is not the case. Chef Jeff taking the reins here, and Tiltek coming in as one of the players for tonight as well. I mean, entered Frankie, Seppi, Pluto, the rest of the names on this roster, paired with those two, this is a roster to be scared of.
Yeah, certainly they have the synergy. Unlike some of these teams, which are relatively newly put together, these guys have been playing together for a very, very long time. So they're going to know how they play together, how the play styles are like, and what everyone is doing. There's going to be that unspoken sense of communication that can certainly make a huge difference. On the other hand, of course, they're going to be playing against Get a Grip, who actually have been together for a long time as well.
Yeah, Get a Grip LFO coming in at the end of Tier 2 tournaments recently, finishing in second place behind Circular Spheres, fun fact. They are also a team that has made some recent changes, but probably have been for the better in terms of their competitive run. I mean, 90 Jin being added to the roster, I would say was probably the most recent change in their last competitive season together. Obviously, the big sort of wild card, I suppose, now on your screens is going to be Nate from Invictus coming into this roster, paired with Owen River and iDrift. This roster has the potential to be pretty insane, more than it already is.
Yeah, it definitely took some time for them last week to warm up, especially Nate, but once the ball really got rolling, they certainly took things to the next level. And I think once they've got that, kind of integrating the newer members, figuring out how everything works together, they're definitely a team to be reckoned with.
And the head-to-head for this matchup brought to you by Biocode Lab. I mean, two players that we've talked about extensively. Owen, part of the church of the M590, a carpet enjoyer, but going up against Intiltech. I mean, a man that for Kraken has proven on multiple times he can frag. He is an insane player, mechanically gifted as well. So two key players for this matchup. Definitely ones to keep your eye on.
Yeah, a little bit interesting as well. They're a little bit different in terms of playstyle. You mentioned that Tiltech more of a fragger, whereas the role we've seen Owen play is more of an IGL, more of that support and guiding his team. And he's certainly done a really, really good job of it. He's led Get a Grip and previous iterations of the team to many victories. As we've mentioned, second place only behind Circular Spheres. So definitely expect this to be a good match.
On top of that as well, he likes to cosplay on the weekends as furniture. But as we go forward into what I'm hoping is going to be an insane matchup, I mean, where are we going to be playing it, Spud? We need to know, and well, we already do know, but for the people at home, obviously, they still need to be filled in on the veto, and we're going to be going back to Oregon. We got a twofer, ladies and gentlemen, I know, but a map that both teams are very comfortable on, especially Get a Grip. It was a very good map for them in previous play days in elsewhere, so I'm assuming it's going to be good for them again.
Yeah, certainly. And last time we did see them play on Clubhouse, as we briefly touched upon earlier, it's interesting that they let that map go all the way through to the second to last ban. So really, I believe it was Kraken's choice not to go to Clubhouse here and switch over to Oregon, which, as we've mentioned, given Get a Grip's performance on that map, is a very interesting choice. Having said that, both, it's a very standard map, right? We've already seen it once, we're going to see it again, and we expect these teams to know how to play it. And yeah, early on in the season, I suppose, they want to hide their cards, keep the cards close to the chest as much as possible, not give away too much.
I mean, we say that, Spud. We turn our eyes to just last week. We saw Kraken play Oregon in Playday #1. They walked away with a 7-1 victory over Real Demons. And that in itself already shows that they are a very capable roster on this map for themselves. So Get a Grip, probably an interesting choice that they've let it go all the way through the veto to the end, but you would imagine, given their previous performances, that they would have to be quite confident allowing that to happen.
Yeah, I think this is both teams are really quite comfortable on this map. Both teams wanted this map. I even get the feeling that, they want to be here. So that's going to mean we're going to be seeing the best out of both of these teams. They can be bringing out their best in order to beat the best, because these two teams certainly are in contention for making playoffs and even taking that grand final spot. So you want to get those head-to-head wins early on. Make sure you get some bragging rights as well along the way, and of course, make sure to get those points, because you don't want to miss out like Get a Grip did, I believe, last season. They missed out on making it to playoffs by a single point to Underground Gaming. So don't want to make that same mistake again.
No, they're going to be looking to lock in whatever they can. But, I mean, Kraken, just on the side of Kraken, arguably have had one of the biggest come-up stories in the last sort of year of competitive OCE Siege. And they are a roster that has withstood the test of time. I mean, they have had a couple of changes here and there, like many rosters do, but largely they are exactly the same, or very close to the same as when they sort of were inaugurated into Kraken. So coming into tonight, it is going to be, and I would say, an interesting game. Both of these teams largely experienced. I mean, this is basically just Kraken versus, NQS of last week, but I mean, it's going to be a big game regardless of the outcome. This is the one that you're going to want to watch.
Certainly, we've saved the best to last, and we've been saying it all day that this is the one where we see all the big guns come out to play. Definitely looking forward to seeing how 90 Jin performs as well. He didn't have such a great game last week, so moving forward, we've talked about him. We've said that he is a very mechanically gifted player, and I have seen him play quite insanely, so would like to see more of that this week.
Yeah, and then you've got the old rivalry as well. You've got Owen, the carpet connoisseur, going up against Chef Jeff, the Bishop of Boomstick. So two very happy M590 enjoyers. But Spud, we are going to jump right into Oregon for the second time tonight, but for our final game of the evening. Kraken versus Get a Grip LFO. We start things off, as always, with the bans. And I mean, Spud, coming into Oregon for the second time tonight, what are you expecting?
I definitely expect a knock ban once again. We've seen it pretty much every single game so far. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we see it again. The other ban that Kraken brought out last week was a Mozzie, which was, you know, caught me a little bit by surprise. I want to see if they repeat the same thing this week.
Yeah, they may, but Knock goes first. I mean, Knock, I feel like Knock is just going to be the standard ban for time to come. I mean, I expected Sledge would sort of take that position, given that he got the EMP nades as well as the 1.5 and the angle grip now, but apparently not. Ying to go as well here for Kraken is an interesting choice, but I'd imagine they know things we probably don't, being as they're the players and we are just the commentators. Okay. But Capcan goes, which, I mean, yeah, okay.
All right.
I rate it. And then finally, for Get a Grip, they're probably going to keep it clean, cut and simple. And yeah, Mirror goes. So, yeah. Nothing too interesting other than Capcan, I'd say.
Imagine they played a smoke ban, right? That would have been interesting. No M590. And you remove the smoke, that would certainly have impacted more than one player on the board here. But hey, Capcan, I still want to see how that works out. Maybe with this Monty pick as well, maybe that's a play. They want to be getting that information, and Capcan certainly would have put a dent into that plan, slowing things down.
Yeah, Capcan is an operator that, when used correctly, especially at this level, can be very devastating. So good to see that he's taken out, I suppose. The bans are already starting here again. And the one thing I would like to highlight, Spud, is we turn our attention to the left side of the screen here. Tiltech. Locking in the Okay, well, I'm just... Tiltech, you had to go and ruin it, didn't you? Well, I was going to make a point. It was going to be really cool. We were going to talk about the Hunter heritage from Kraken, and you've gone and ruined my storyline. So, yeah, awesome.
Barrier activated.
Saying, oh, you know, we want to get the extra information from the shield. This all part of, you know, we figured it out. And then, of course, we didn't. So, clearly, this is why they're playing, and we're just talking about it. But hey, reloading. 20 seconds off the board now, not much going on. Looks like a small tower clear, and probably going to be pushing from that bedroom side.
Yeah, you'd imagine so with the split that they sort of have right now, but Jin sort of getting very aggressive here. Circular sphere style towards the main lobby. He's trying to open the door here for his team, but Kraken, they're playing a little bit more reserve. Flashbang into Attic here. I don't think NZ Frankie necessarily knows that iDrift is right next to the window he was at moments before, but in saying that, Kraken are choosing to just sort of leave this player in tier 3, and he almost completely dies dropping down. So I guess that's good for Kraken?
That would have been an embarrassing way to go.
Just imagine if he'd been a little bit too further down.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Hey, at least that's time wasted. I mean, a little over a minute gone, and Kraken have only just started to make their way into the big tower. So, you know, I do expect them to be making faster time, but Nate certainly will challenge that with the C4. You're losing Liana early on, and that's a lot of information gone.
It is indeed, and this Mute Jammer 2 on the main wall is going to make things that little bit more difficult. Being as they haven't cleared it out yet, Seppi doesn't have the impact grenades either, but it's iDrift to find Chef Jeff. The Bishop falls, and with that, takes his hard breaching utility with him. It's Owen to find one onto Seppi. Tiltech takes down iDrift, but at this point it might be too late. Kraken too strong. Get a Grip with 4 and a minute left in play. It's plenty of time, but NZ Frankie, we've seen him pop off before. Can he do it again? He finds one. Owen falls, and this could be the beginning of a clutch.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
User is outside, but they have got some walls open. No, they do not have any walls open, and that's going to really funnel the attack is into these positions. And with Nate still on the roam, still feeding that information, it's a 1 against 3.
Well, Tiltek's made his way into the site, but Jin knows exactly where he is. The bulletproof camera also doesn't necessarily help Tiltek in this position. Nate swings on round, he finds another for himself, and he goes down inside of the attic. I mean, there you go. Get a grip, starting things off with a round of their own. We've said it before. Defenders-oriented map. I would argue that Oregon is just a little bit favoured to the defense, but still relatively 50-50 to most degrees after recent changes. But I don't really think we've seen too much for...
Attackers need to locate
Well,
and
we haven't
defuse
seen
the
too
bomb.
much of the new patch in competitive sense, Bud. So maybe Oregon is yet to change and we just don't know it. But at the moment, everything is still relatively the same as where we left it just before the patch. So Kraken, just a little bit of a slow start, I'd imagine.
Yeah, the information coming out from Nate, I think, would have been really, really important. He was left completely unchecked in security, so I don't think Kraken were really aware he was there. He was able to get the C4 early on, and then a second and a third, I believe, at the dying seconds of the round. So he certainly had a good read on where the players were, and would have been feeding all that information to the other members of Get a Grip. And Kraken not dealing with that would have been huge, because the information game is so important here.
Indeed it is, and I mean, Nate did exactly this in the last round. He found 3 kills, all he did was prone behind, I believe it was the bench in security. And now he's doing the exact same thing, but inside a small tower. I mean, he has a pretty disgusting angle onto anyone who jumps in through the window or walks too deep through the door, but, I mean, if they aren't careful, there's no drone. There is nothing here for Kraken in terms of information. You hear it to the left. I don't think it didn't spot him at all. They know when, find 1 each. And Kraken lose 2 just like that.
Information is the name of the game, and Kraken were just missing out on it. They do have that ping on Nate, will find a revenge kill, but is it too late? They've already lost 2 players, the NZ Frankie with the calls, and of course Tiltek on the entry, and this could really slow down Kraken even more.
I mean, look, 3 versus 4 is definitely doable. But at the same time, if they keep making mistakes like they have been with the information, I mean, just basic things that we wouldn't usually expect from Kraken, then Get a Grip may have a lot better chance here. But in saying that, half the round remains, there's plenty of time, and they do still have some good utility in the hands of Chef. So we'll see if they can make it work.
Slowing down a little bit now as they're trying to find out Get a Grip's locations, and just like that, iDrift will go. That was the last roamer who could have threatened Kraken's attack if they had continued to leave him unchecked. But fortunately for them, they will catch him out, and that leaves them free to go for this execute without having to worry too much about their flanks.
Indeed, as the hatches now start to open up, a 3 versus 3 on the site. It's going to be relatively easily done, especially with Pluto hitting that nade. Jin falls as they look now for the execute. River on the long angle here through to the basement, but it's Seppi to find When spotted out, Seppi finds another. Kraken lock it down for a round of their own, and Tiltek quite pleased with that outcome.
Yeah, started off a little bit shaky there, 2 early picks, but certainly Kraken were able to claw it back, and they've shown us why they're playing at such a high level. Despite those 2 losses, they're able to keep things together. They played for the trades, and at the end of the day, they were really able to apply the pressure onto Get a Grip on site, and Get a Grip just fell apart there.
Yeah, unfortunately they did, but they're going to go back downstairs and give it another go. You can't really blame them either. I mean, they had a really good start to that round. The fact that Nate was allowed to just sit behind the generator in small tower, stand up and find 1. His teammate pitched in as well. I mean, that is big no-nos from Kraken. That is simple mistakes that shouldn't have happened. And I mean, from now on, I don't imagine it will happen again. They bought the Jackal on Tiltec. They are actively looking to change that outcome, but even still, Get a Grip seem to have a lot of tricks up their sleeve right now.
Moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
Certainly from that last round, they've shown, they've got some pretty creative strategies, even ones that don't necessarily rely on being smart, more being sneaky. So once they start ramping up into these really solid setups against Kraken, I certainly think Kraken will find a bit more of a struggle. Riverwater, though, will struggle already. He's been taken down low. He will, very cleverly fall back. I think it is high time he gets out of there, lest he becomes the opening death.
Yeah, River really did need to fall back there, but so does Jin as the call comes out. Phones need to be reset as Kraken looks to make their way into the building off the back of that Logic Bomb utility. Drone for Freezer as well. Tiltec does have the footprints of the Asami spotted out now. It's going to force River back to safety as Owen replaces with the shotgun. Obviously his footprint's not there to be found, meaning that this M590 can go to work if Kraken are not careful.
It's got the additional smoke grenades to deny as well, feeling a little bit like a laundry stairs situation. But nevertheless, it's a good roam clear from Kraken. They've used, under a minute to get those top two floors, aided very much by the Takaibi, and now they've got all the time in the world to once again play this vertical. Unless Owen, of course, just walks on. Oh no!
Uh-oh.
No!
Oh, okay. That is exactly what you need to do. So see, it's Chef. He knew it. As soon as it was Owen, he's like, he's going to be on the floor. I need to make some distance or I am going to get pumped into oblivion. And he put this, yep, you knew it. As soon as it was Chef, he had that on lock. Owen, unfortunately, if you teach someone the ways, you have to be wary of them using the ways against you.
So far then, pretty even, a good trade back from either team. With 1 minute remaining, they've still got plenty of utility to work with on either side. 4 impacts and a C4 certainly can deny any plant coming through. Won't be able to deny that though. NZ Frankie with another kill. Seppi and 2 in return, and that's 1 player, Nate, all by himself.
He's found one. TCSG with the 1.5 now, arguably probably one of the better guns on defense, or at least one that deals the most damage. Does spot the back of one player inside a pillar, juggling around the angle. Will he get the kill? No, not quite. The damage dealt, it's not enough. Seppi with more bullets in his magazine. He locks it down with the L85. And Kraken find another round and lock it down. I mean, it's not much of a lead, but it's something.
Really well played there by Kraken on both those attacks onto the same basement site, and I think it even went better that second time. They certainly figured out how Get a Grip were playing. No more of those funny shenanigans hiding behind generators, hiding on the floor. And the Kraken secure a second round now on arguably the more difficult side here. They're going to need every single one, and then when they go onto defense, that is when it's time to shine.
Indeed, Spud, and I mean, I would expect Get a Grip to at least be 2-1 themselves, or 3-1 even, given that there is a slight defender bias on Oregon, but even still, I mean, they are locked in right now, doing a very good job of keeping these rounds as close as they can possibly keep them. Unfortunately, Kraken have just been that slight step ahead. But still, the game is young, Spud.
Yeah, again, this is very much like UG versus, not quite sure versus, Circular Spears just then. Although they are losing, right, the underdogs here are certainly performing well given their circumstances and, admirably, considering what it is. So again, it's not that Get a Grip are playing poorly. I think it's just Kraken are playing better. And I certainly think if Kraken make any mistakes, Get a Grip really will capitalize on those.
Yeah, indeed they will, as Get a Grip unfortunately lose one in the opening moments. Nate goes down, and they are yet to confirm that kill, but they are attempting to maybe drop on down and go for the bait. I mean, they have a player sort of waiting to collect that. Jin does find Seppi downstairs though, so at least that's one. And then Frankie takes down Nate. Legion off early is good. Chef Jeff to find Owen as well, and very quickly things for Kraken unfold and get a grip. Lose 4 as Pluto finds another one onto Jin.
Yeah, things are happening really, really quick now. Just over a minute, and we've already got half the lobby off the board. So it's really going to be up to iDrift and River here to hold on to this last position. Of course, with the Zami available, they do have a lot more places they can work with. All right, that's also going to... Oh my goodness.
Oh, hang on.
No.
Oh. If he'd found that kill on the Asiatic, he could have been on for an absolutely insane clip. Oh my. Unfortunately, he wasn't. Chef calling Owen out already. I don't even think Kraken had a clue what was happening in that round. But
does anybody really have a clue what is going on in Siege? Because we
usually not. No, usually not. But Kraken find their third. So look, Spud, at the moment, the attacking side definitely looking to be the favour between these two teams, and definitely having a little bit more prominence, I guess, in tonight's matches on Oregon. We saw Circular Spheres have a really good attacking side for themselves. I mean, Kraken now doing just that as well. Maybe we are sort of seeing that shift from that slightly defender Oregon side maybe towards more of an attacker side, at least within the Let's Play Live league that we are watching currently.
Kraken have been really, really good at making sure they get that information. Granted, they've been, they fumbled it a few times, but I think that's certainly added to the experience. They've learned, okay, we absolutely cannot, let them get away with things like this. And that certainly helped them lock down those defenders wherever they are and make sure they just cannot get a grip, if you will, onto this round. 3-1 right now, certainly could be a 4-2, 5-1 even is possible.
Look, there is definitely prospects for get a grip. Jin hasn't had, unfortunately, the most impact, having a little bit of a rough game, maybe, or the information not quite there for him, given that he usually is a force to be reckoned with. But iDrift in a very bad position right now. Flashbang's coming out. Chef Jeff there to collect, but Jin for the support. He finds 2. The trade comes back from Chef, though, so not all is lost for Kraken. They trade out an Ace and Iana for an Aruni and an Alibi. I mean, honestly, get a grip probably come out on top of those at the end of those trades.
Yeah, really well played from both sides. Use of the utility there, the flashbang and the line scan to deny the movement, and the trades from each team making sure to support. But as you mentioned, probably worked out better in terms of get a grip. They having, time on their hands as well. But with the loss of that extra player now, certainly Kraken are on the better half of this. They still got the flashbangs and the grenade to make things happen, and Owen swinging like that, Tiltech read him like a book.
I mean, when you've got Chef on the team, he's going to be telling you guys, don't get too close to the door, because Owen is going to be on the other side of it, waiting with the boomstick. And I mean, every time that Owen's gone for a swing, except for that first round, he's been read like a book, unfortunately for him. So in saying that, hopefully he can find another. Nate will hear the player rotating to his left, but unfortunately Tiltech doesn't commit to the swing. Flashbang to come out, Nate completely blinded. I'd imagine Tiltech cleans this one up here. No, not just yet. As he swings on out, the bomb goes down, and it's Seppi to find that last kill for Kraken. The drop shot as well, just for the added fun of it. Chef hitting the chug jug. And Kraken, I mean, they've locked in another one, a 4th for them, looking good for possibly a 5-1 here if they can keep this momentum rolling.
Yeah, the roam clear is really, really good from Kraken. They're making sure those players playing off-site don't get a chance to rotate back to site. They've been cutting them off or putting the pressure on them straight away. And that is something that I noted down from their game with Real Demons as well. They were really, really good at the roam clear. And paired with the Lion, paired with that Nomad, it certainly worked wonders here for Kraken. 4-1, looking like it could be a 5-1. Get a grip, need to get these rounds on the board before they go on to attack, which, as we've mentioned, arguably is the more difficult side.
Indeed, I mean, Kraken have had a great attacking side, and then when they go onto the defense, I don't really imagine that will become amplified, given that, you know, Kraken and defense, they go hand in hand, but get a grip, they find another one here. You know, it's not completely gone to waste. Jin will be spotted, I believe, possibly on that drone, but if he isn't, the defender detected outside definitely would give him away. Get a grip trying to sort of take a bit of the aggression here to Kraken.
Yeah, I think that would certainly be one way to play it. I mean, it worked out early on when they were playing those rat spots and Kraken weren't quite expecting it. So you got to make sure you don't give anything away for free. And yeah, get a grip so far, being 3 rounds down, they're going to need to make a play like that. But once again, we see the roam denial. We've seen the gridlock. We see the extra cans coming out from Seppi. They are really intent on making sure get a grip do not make it back to side.
They've got great crossfires set up here too, and I mean, with the information in play, that Valkyrie camera from Jin seems to be largely just unknown by Kraken in most aspects. I mean, I don't think it was spotted there at all. As Chef now makes his way towards the backstairs, does take a little bit of damage, the calls to come out too, but no IQ in play, meaning these cameras are not going to be spotted. So for Kraken, things getting interesting as they need to be finding a kill.
Once again, that roam clear, very, very effective. They've got 2 whole minutes to work with all of this. Open up all the hatches, and plus those cans going down will mean that information goes both ways. Kraken will certainly know if anyone tries to push up, and get a grip will be forced to hold onto site, bunker down, and wait for the onslaught that is Kraken.
A minute remaining, or at least 1 minute and 10. It's Pluto that falls first, but he isn't confirmed. Nate walks away with the damage, but not the frag. As one player does make it all the way to the back of the freezer side. Will spot the player crossing over, doesn't hit the shots onto the Jaeger, is expecting the second and will be rewarded. Tiltek to take down iDrift. He knows there's a player back by washing machines now as well, hunting for the head, he can't find it. Knows that they're locked in behind that position, but the information just can't quite be relayed. The Yana clone comes through, it's taken out, the information denied. And Kraken, they need to make a move onto the site. They've got 30 seconds left. The drop comes out. We see from the backside of things, it is going to be Seppi with the pistol. Pluto finds one as well, but it's Owen to trade back. Tiltek to take down Nate. Inside of Blue, Owen needs to go to work, but it's NZ Frankie to lock it down on the Dokkaebi for Kraken. They find the 5-1, and they're 2 rounds away from making this another fast one.
Really good read of that elbow player as well.
I am Sam Fisher.
Yeah, it was a pretty good impression. He had the pistol out the entire
game. He did. It was Karambit and pistol. Where was who needs the F2000? Who needs the MP7? I have the 5.7 with the suppressor on it. I rate that.
Yeah, well played. And well played, I was going to say. Reading where Owen and that smoke shotgun power position were playing, and they just completely ignored it. They went through the laundry freezer and they locked Owen down with the DMR of all things. They were playing that range where he couldn't get the kill, that really narrow angle, and it worked perfectly. They managed to just flood onto site and get a grip. Now 5-1 down, need to move, make a move on attack, which is arguably going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, it's not going to be the easiest of things, but I mean, dependent on how everything pans out. Kraken are in the driving seat, arguably right now. They are the team that are looking like they're going to lock it out pretty much right now, or at least in the very near future. So to get a grip, the burners are going to have to be turned on, because if they aren't, I mean, Kraken, this is going to be, well, a quick one.
Has been, well, the preferred site for many of... oh no!
Huh?
That is poetic.
What was Owen trying to achieve? He just walked into blue? Optimistic. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Chef. I'm glad that someone's resonating my thoughts here. What was the play there from Owen? It is genuinely quite funny. I'll give you that, Owen. But yeah, I mean, Chef besting his mentor once more.
Well, Well, the shotgun giveth and the shotgun taketh away, and it taketh away Owen's life now. 2 players down already, and 5-1 down. You don't want to be in that position. Jin, however, will at least catch a player rotating back. Tiltek caught. I'm not quite sure what he was still doing there, but hey, they've actually gone freezer control, stairs control, but Chef Jim is going to contest. Oh, no.
My gosh.
Oh no.
No way. He knows the play. Oh, okay. Look, the M590 is indeed taketh away right now. He's gonna get another one. What are Get a Grip doing? He walks up freezer. Nate just doesn't even care that Jin has been blasted into the back rooms, and now it is just a certified rage moment. It is all up to iDrift. The door outside bunker has been re-barricaded and everyone has already run back to bunker. Chef is outside going for a walk. What is happening right now? Kraken are just playing a completely different game and Get a Grip just seem lost in the sauce.
I think Get a Grip may have fallen off now, and they've just kind of given up with it.
They've just lost it.
They're just like, you know what, 5-1, we can't beat this shotgun. You know, we'll just call it a night here. Everyone pack up your things. I wouldn't blame.
No.
Oh no!
Okay, okay. What a round to get 4 in, but what a way to get it. I mean, Chef, the bishop has spoken, and they're not even phased. They're happy. They're loving it. Get a Grip, same. Not phased at all by what just transpired there from Chef Jeff. But at this point, Spud, I think it's time to put the pen down again, because that was arguably confusing.
Need to locate and defuse bomb.
It all started with Owen, and at 5-1, there is still hope. You've done it before, why not again is the question. I mean, it was literally Get a Grip last week, right, against Circular Spheres, who, you know, are of the same caliber of Kraken. If you can do it once, surely you can do it again, but no, they've just given it up, and 6-1 looks to be a 7-1 very, very soon.
Yeah, indeed. And provided that is the case, we will not have gone over a 7-4 for the evening. Which, well, I mean, it's a blessing, but it's also a curse. I mean, we did miss out on a whole matchup, unfortunately, Spud, but sometimes that is unfortunately what happens. Seppi outside, he's trying to do what Jin was doing, but unfortunately doesn't connect, and will be traded out by iDrift, but Chef is at least there to find one onto Owen, so at least we're keeping the storyline of Chef not losing a gunfight to Owen going.
Drones up and running.
Yeah, with the SMG-11 as well, the perfect companion to the M590. I think he's just proving a point. I'm better with all of the guns here. I don't even need a shotgun to beat you. I can do it with the SMG-11, and once again onto the Kaibi, who I would have assumed was running the DMR. So that's a fight that arguably should have been in Owen's favor. Had he, I assume, been actually looking, and I don't think he was.
Ah, well, eyes always on the monitor. Always, Spud. Kraken, though, a Valkyrie for a Dokkaebi, pretty decent trade. I mean, you lose a Nitro, but in turn you lose 2 Logic Bombs and Flashbang / Smokes, as well as the DMR overall just being an insane gun. So, provided Get a Grip can convert that, I mean, they found one, it's just 4 more, and then the round's arguably theirs. We continue on, but I don't think Kraken are looking at making any mistakes anytime soon, especially with Tiltek getting as aggressive as he is right now. But, yeah, okay. He's just allowed to... This is terrorist walking. This isn't even bot walking. He's just walking around playing his own game. Jin, again, just didn't turn around. His teammate just got blasted. He didn't move. iDrift takes down Chef, but I mean, at this point, iDrift sleeping on the roof. I think we can chalk it up. Kraken, congrats. And yeah, look, unless iDrift goes huge here, it's been a good game.
Yeah, I think it's time to figure out who's doing the interview now. It certainly won't be anyone from Get a Grip at this point.
Jeff's game of life. Oh. Tiltec falls. 40 seconds remain. iDrift. No flashbangs, but Type 89 and a couple of drones to make something happen. Does get caught in the thorn, does spot one, can't connect for the shots. Very possibly on to continue his team's onslaught here if he can find this round from Kraken. He has 2 to get. Entered Frankie keeping it low on the floor, but it's Pluto to swing on out. Some good damage dealt, but it's not quite enough. 15 seconds remain, bearing in hand. iDrift needs to go huge. 2 players both on the floor. The GG's already called by Tiltec. He's not getting too aggressive. The down not there, but the drop shot with the CZ. GG's in chat. It is game over. Tiltec completely bewildered, but very well deserved. Kraken walk away with a hard-fought victory.
Yeah, there's some good moments there from Owen. I was going to say from Owen. Yes, from Owen and also from Get a Grip. Unfortunately, it just was not enough. Kraken were dominant once again on Oregon. Same result as last time, 7-1. And that really goes to show they are really, really good at Oregon and playing on a different level here.
Yeah, I mean, Kraken have had their moments, I would say, Spud, across different maps. They have played, I mean, they had their Chalet sort of stint where they were undefeated on Chalet. They then sort of moved on to Club, but now we sort of see them dominating on Oregon here in the LPL Pro Series. And aside from that, that was an insane matchup from them. I mean, yes, jokes aside, all the memes that we saw, shotguns every round from people you wouldn't usually expect shotguns from, like the Roaming Brook, for example. But even still, the level of siege that was displayed by both teams. I mean, Kraken definitely keeping up appearances, but Get a Grip, I think maybe a little bit off baseline tonight. They seemed a little bit confused, maybe a little bit out of the loop. I'm not sure. But either way, we are going to talk to the man, the myth himself, the roaming rook of our dreams, Tiltec. Welcome to the booth once more. I mean, man, it's been a hot minute, but congratulations.
Howdy, partners. Thank you.
Well, starting off, I mean, Oregon, you played it last week, 7-1. You've come in, you've done it again back-to-back. Is that what you were expecting, or were you hoping for a different map this week?
Look, I was really, I told Seppi I had one to play Cafe. That's my personal preference, but, you know, he bans it anyways. Then we got given the choice of Clubhouse. I don't like Clubhouse. So I was happy that he got that out of the way.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, the least worst map, right? I do have a specific question regarding a specific player on either team. Did Chef Jeff give you any specific instructions about Owen?
Nah, we all know how Owen plays. He's an oddball. Yeah, an oddball. I'll say that at least.
And, I mean, Tiltec, I do want to specifically ask you, the roaming rook, the shotgun in hand, is that something that we are going to expect to see in the Kraken lineup coming forward from this, or is it a one-off?
Look, mate, when it's game day, they let me off the leash, all right? I do what I want. I am the man for the roams, so that's going to just go down with whoever hits, like, you know, can take the most shots and has a strong gun. So that's rook shotgun.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Val. Tiltec, it's been lovely as always. We've loved having you here. We're going to send you off. And look, Spud, overall tonight, let's see where the people sit. The teams, that is, when I say people, from the end of the evening, Kraken, unfortunately, on round difference, do not retain first, but not quite sure. Powering through on a good round difference score.
I think that round difference might actually
be wrong.
Yeah, I think Kraken actually
are still in
with that
first.
Victory will be at the top, and followed by Team 7. Of course, they did get a little bit of a freebie with that forfeit from today, but not quite sure. Also played really well, and so yeah, I definitely think these three teams are going to be in contention for those playoff spots. It's just the next one. Get a Grip, of course, didn't go so well today, so if they can pick it up in the following weeks, certainly still could hold on to that. And of course, we always have Underground Gaming bit of an underdog, but certainly still in the running.
Well, speaking of next week's games, Spud, let's have a little look at what is to come on next week's Play Day. Some interesting matchups there at the bottom of the screen. I mean, a highlight for me, Team 7 versus Not Quite Sure. Get a Grip versus Real Demons could be good as well. Anything that sort of catches your eye there, Spud?
Yeah, Kraken versus Underground Gaming. We'll see how underdogs fare against the very, very dominant Kraken. Whether they'll be able to put on a show against them, or if Kraken will once again continue cracking on and just roll over everyone else once again.
Yeah, look, Spud, we've had an insane evening as always. And just before we go, we'd like to say thank you to our sponsors, Roccat and Biocode Lab. Remember to check them both out in your own time. But Spud, just before we go, I mean, final thoughts heading into the next Play Day.
I think this is shaping up to be a really, really interesting tournament. We've got some great teams. We've got some underdogs who have been performing way above their weight, and certainly going to be an exciting time in the coming weeks.
It's been a pleasure as always. Enjoy the rest of your evening, ladies and gentlemen. We've had fun, and we look to see you next week. Same time, same place. Have a good one. Goodbye.
Tango in my sights.
Now it's time for New Belt Nitro Signal, and he fell for it. He's looking to give coverage for his teammate Rice. Can he lock it down? Yes, he can, but the swing's in. Has to find it. No time. Pun has to swing in. Geordie's pulled off. He lost the round.
Camera in position!
Get behind me.
Tango located!
Hostiles in sight.